Okay, so you have watched your ed puzzle about potential and kinetic energy. We know that potential energy is that stored energy, it's resting, and then kinetic energy is that energy in motion. So how do these connect to the water cycle, and how do these connect to reservoirs and transfers that we've learned about in the water cycle? Well, potential energy, right, is that energy that is stored and it's resting there. So potential energy is the same, you'll find that in reservoirs. So every time you see a reservoir in the water cycle, that is going to have potential energy. And then we have kinetic energy, that's our energy in motion. We've also learned about the kinetic theory of matter, right? All matter is always moving. Kinetic means to move. And transfers move water from one location to another. So every time we have a transfer, that is using kinetic energy. So it's storing that energy up and it's waiting to use it. It has the potential to be used, and then it converts it into kinetic energy that transfers it from one place to another. So if we remember our transfer examples, these are all going to have kinetic energy, right? It's moving the water. Evaporation and precipitation move. These are using kinetic energy. Transpiration, runoff, rivers, condensation, infiltration, percolation, drinking water. Anytime water is being moved and transferred, it is using that kinetic energy. And then we have our reservoirs that is storing that water and holding that water. So it is storing up that potential energy. So in oceans, in lakes, clouds, in the atmosphere, in the groundwater, snowpack, vegetation, animals, in you, we are, and all of these examples are storing the water. So they are storing that energy. They have potential energy. So when you are looking at a water cycle chart, anytime I see movement of water, it's going to be a transfer and it's going to have kinetic energy. Transfer and kinetic energy, transfer with kinetic energy, transfer, kinetic energy when it infiltrates, percolates, transpirates. All of these are moving the water around the earth, so that kinetic energy helps with the water cycle. So we need the sun is the energy. Then we also need that kinetic energy to move the water, which help the water cycle. And then anytime we have the reservoirs, we've got our ocean that is collecting that water and it's storing up that energy. The cloud is storing up the energy. The snowpack, the glacier, the vegetation is storing that up. The groundwater is storing that up. So anytime we have those reservoirs, we've got that water that's being stored. So our water cycle is really powered by all the different types of energy. Yes, it needs its solar energy, but then it also needs its potential energy. That's got to store that energy back up, right? After you've exercised and exercised, you can't just keep doing it forever. You've got to rest and store that energy back up, and then they can transfer that energy. So the solar energy, kinetic energy, and potential energy are what are going to make our water cycle work.